The first sign wasn't the cracked earth or the shrinking shoreline. It wasn't the warning bulletins or the quiet restrictions slipping into daily life. It was the silence, the kind that spread slowly, like something watching, waiting, as if the water itself had already decided to leave long before anyone realized it was going. In 2026, Corpus Christi stands at the edge of something few major American cities have ever faced: the real possibility of running out of water. Not metaphorically, not decades from now, but within months. And the most unsettling part, this didn't happen overnight. For years, the city grew with confidence. Industry surged along the Gulf Coast, refineries expanded, export terminals multiplied, and economic optimism masked a quiet imbalance. Water, the one resource that everything depended on, was being consumed faster than it could be replaced. At first, the numbers didn't seem alarming. Reservoir levels fluctuated as they always had. Seasonal droughts came and went, but beneath the surface, something was shifting. Lake Corpus Christi, once a reliable lifeline, began to recede. At first, it was just a few percentage points. Then it slipped below 50%, then 30%. By the time it dropped into single digits, it was no longer just a statistic. It was a warning no one could ignore. Satellite images showed a shoreline retreating like a tide that never returns. Boats sat stranded on dry, cracked lake beds. Intake pipes that once fed the city's water system were suddenly exposed, hanging awkwardly above what little water remained. The infrastructure built for abundance was now confronting scarcity in real time. But this crisis wasn't just about drought. A decade earlier, there had been plans, ambitious ones, to build a desalination plant. The idea was simple: convert seawater from the Gulf into drinking water and secure the city's future. It was supposed to be the safety net, the backup plan that would prevent exactly this kind of emergency. But plans stalled. Permits were delayed. Funding became complicated. Environmental concerns slowed progress. Political disagreements stretched timelines. What should have taken years stretched into a decade of revisions, debates, and missed deadlines. Meanwhile, the city kept growing. Industry kept expanding. Water demand kept climbing, and the safety net never materialized. As reservoirs declined, officials turned to alternative measures. Emergency wells were drilled deeper into the ground, tapping into aquifers that had already been under stress. Restrictions were introduced, first mild, then increasingly strict. Lawn watering was limited, car washing discouraged. Businesses were urged to conserve. But conservation alone couldn't match the scale of demand. Corpus Christi isn't just a city of 500,000 residents. It's a critical hub in the United States energy network. Refineries here process massive volumes of crude oil. The port handles some of the largest petroleum exports in the country. Jet fuel refined in this region powers airports across Texas and beyond. All of it depends on water. Refining oil requires vast amounts of water for cooling, processing, and safety systems. Without it, operations slow. Then they stop. And when refineries stop, the effects ripple outward through supply chains, transportation networks, and entire economies. That's what makes this crisis different. It's not just a local emergency. It's a potential disruption with national consequences. Officials now face decisions that were once unthinkable. If water levels continue to fall, who gets priority? Residents, hospitals, industry, agriculture? Every option carries consequences. Every choice leaves someone without enough behind closed doors. Contingency plans are being discussed. Water rationing scenarios, industrial cutbacks, emergency imports. Even the possibility of trucking water into the city, a measure usually reserved for remote or disaster-stricken regions. But time is the one resource they don't have. Forecasts show little relief. Rainfall has been inconsistent, and even when storms come, they aren't enough to replenish reservoirs at the scale needed. Climate patterns have shifted, making droughts longer and more intense. What was once considered rare is becoming the new normal. And still, demand doesn't stop. Population growth continues. Industrial contracts remain in place. Global energy markets don't pause for local shortages. The pressure keeps building, like a system pushed beyond its limits, but not yet breaking. Residents are beginning to feel it in subtle ways. Water pressure drops at unexpected times. Restrictions tighten without warning. Conversations change from casual concerns to quiet anxiety. People start asking questions they never thought they'd need to ask. How much water do we really have left? What happens if it runs out? Some have started preparing. Bottled water disappears from store shelves faster than usual. Storage containers appear in garages and backyards. Small, personal contingency plans begin to form, not out of panic, but out of uncertainty, because uncertainty is the most unsettling part. No one can say exactly when the tipping point will come, but everyone knows it's getting closer. Meanwhile, the desalination plant, the solution that was supposed to prevent this, is still not operational. Construction has begun, but completion is years away. Years the city doesn't have. Critics call it a failure of planning, a decade of missed opportunities and underestimated risks. Supporters argue that the challenges were complex, that no one could have predicted the speed at which conditions would deteriorate. But for those living through it, the debate feels distant. What matters now is survival. Emergency measures are accelerating. New pipelines are being considered to bring water from distant sources. Temporary treatment facilities are being evaluated. Every possible option is on the table, no matter how costly or unconventional. But even the most aggressive solutions take time, and time is slipping away as quickly as the water itself. There's a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when a crisis stops being theoretical and becomes inevitable. Corpus Christi is approaching that moment. If reservoir levels continue their current trajectory, the city could face mandatory, severe water rationing within months, not suggestions, not guidelines, but strict limits on how much water each household and business can use. And if that isn't enough, the consequences become harder to imagine. Industrial shutdowns, economic losses in the billions, disruptions to fuel supply chains, and for residents, a daily reality defined by scarcity, something few Americans have ever experienced at this scale. Yet even now, there's a strange calm. The city still moves. Traffic flows. Businesses operate. The port remains active. From the outside, everything looks normal. But beneath that surface, a countdown has already begun. Every day without significant rainfall, every gallon consumed, every delay in emergency solutions, it all adds up. And the margin for error is shrinking. Experts warn that this crisis could become a blueprint, or a warning for other cities. Across the United States and the world, water systems are under increasing. G pressure, population growth, climate change, and industrial demand are converging in ways that challenge even the most advanced infrastructure. Corpus Christi just happens to be one of the first to reach the edge. What happens next will be watched closely. Will emergency measures stabilize the situation? Will rainfall provide temporary relief? Will industry adapt quickly enough to reduce demand? Or will the city cross a threshold that forces decisions no one wants to make? For now, those questions remain unanswered. But the silence, that same silence that marked the beginning, is growing louder. It lingers over empty shorelines and exposed lakebeds. It echoes through policy meetings and late-night discussions. It settles into the routines of a city that knows something is coming, but doesn't know exactly when. And somewhere beneath that silence is a simple, unsettling truth. Water is running out. Not someday, not eventually. But now, and once it's gone, everything changes.